I mean, even in Minnesota, like, when I do date back to the time that we had, he's a winner. You know what I'm saying? He's a dog. People don't, I mean, Case is a professional and all those good things, but when he gets out there, he's still competing at a high level, and he gives you that confidence that you can win, whether it's with his arm or whether he improv and making things happen. So I have complete confidence in him. I've seen it in action, you know what I'm saying? I remember it clear as day when we had a quarterback go down and Case Keenum had to play, and maybe then I was a young player then, so maybe then I was a little, if you asked me that question, then I probably could have said maybe 70, 60%, but at this point, I've seen him do it. You know what I'm saying? I've seen him have success, and I've seen him play well. So to me, like, I know it, whoever's out there, I trust him. You know what I'm saying? I just got to do my job.
Stephon Diggs lived it in 2017. That was the year that the Vikings, right out of the gates, Monday Night Football, dismantled the New Orleans Saints. It was Adrian Peterson's first game with the team other than the Vikings. Sam Bradford was the quarterback. Everything clicked. Everything worked. And then the Wednesday of that week, Bradford didn't practice because of a knee injury. And I remember writing something about that. And the Vikings fans had the swords out. Oh, you're making something out of nothing. Oh, you're trying to create hype. You're the fake news. Those were back in the early days of fake news, 2017. Yeah. And Sam Bradford never played again. He had a knee injury, and Case Keenum entered that weekend. They went to Pittsburgh. It did not go well. And then after that, it went incredibly well. The Vikings were one of the best teams in the conference, one of the best teams in the league that season because of Case Keenum. And what Case Keenum brought to the table was the ability to move laterally, reset, look down the field, nobody's open, move laterally again until somebody got open. And it drove the Vikings coaching staff at the time crazy because they wanted him to hang in the pocket a little bit longer because they were convinced if he stayed in the pocket just a little bit longer, somebody would have been open. They didn't like all that running, so they go get a guy who stays in the pocket and can't run, and the rest is history so far with Kirk Cousins. So that's what's amazing about this. They could have kept Case Keenum for a lot less money than they paid to Kirk Cousins, but they didn't want Keenum, they didn't want Bradford, they didn't want Teddy Bridgewater. They all left. They had 3 free agent quarterbacks at the same time. Enter Kirk Cousins. 2 years later, when Cousins gets an extension, that's when Stephon Diggs coincidentally tweets his way out of Minnesota. And I know everybody tries to make it sound like it had nothing to do with it, that it wasn't about Stephon Diggs not wanting to play with Kirk Cousins. Baloney. Diggs didn't want to play. I don't care what anybody says publicly because, they got to be careful, got to put on a good face, and nobody wants to say anything. Diggs didn't want to play with Cousins anymore. That's why he's in Buffalo, and that's all going to come together on Sunday, and it makes it even, look, I want Josh Allen to play. I want the best players in the NFL to always play. It elevates the games. It elevates the sport. But if he doesn't, what a story, Charean. Case Keenum and Stephon Diggs, the bizarro Minneapolis Miracle, taking on the Vikings in Buffalo with a pretty good team around them.
Yeah, and let's fast forward, Mike, to this year. I was stunned when the Browns traded Case Keenum, and I realized it was a lot about the contract. But when you know you're not going to have Deshaun Watson for part of the year, I would want Case Keenum as my quarterback. And to me, that's something really good that the Bills have taken into account, and a lot of teams don't, is, well, we got the starting quarterback. We don't need to worry about that backup quarterback. The Bills have always said, let's go out and find the best backup quarterback that we can possibly have. Hopefully he never has to play. But if he does, we feel like we're in good shape with our backup quarterback for the short term. And I think they are. I think they went out and found the best possible backup that they could get for Josh Allen. And I'm with you. I hope Josh Allen plays. He missed 4 games as a rookie with a similar injury to his elbow. I don't think he plays this week. I don't think he's out 4 games, but I don't think he plays this week, which is going to be a great thing for Case Keenum to go have a chance to go back and beat the Vikings, who could have had Case Keenum as their starting quarterback. I just think it's a great story if it happens. And I think they'll have a chance with Case Keenum, Mike.
Well, and look, this is what makes the great teams truly great. The plan they have in place to get through a brief stretch, if need be, with a backup quarterback. 3 years ago, the year the Chiefs ended up winning the Super Bowl, Matt Moore held it together for them, beating the Vikings in Kansas City along the way to just do enough to not screw everything up. That's what this this situation is for Case Keenum. Just do enough to not screw everything up if it is a short-term absence. And I just don't think Josh Allen's going to play. The key for me was the betting line moving from Buffalo -9.5 to Buffalo -3.5. If there truly was uncertainty about Allen playing, it would be off the board. The fact that it moved that far tells me that there's confidence among those who set the lines that it's going to be Keenum, not Allen, playing on Sunday, and I think that's what's going to happen. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.